Well, hello and welcome to this Monday, the 12th of December, 2016. I'm Doc Eon, and I'm showing off some painted miniatures. Now, the first little batch here is the cultists that go with those tunnel worms I showed you last week. And let's see if I can get a bit more of a better angle on them. I painted them with kind of blue-green robes and some sort of leather or bronze armor. And these guys, yeah, and some metallic bits. They're a little rough in places, but you know, these days I'm not as picky as I used to be. I often say, for tabletop work, they're good enough. These guys with the hooks are kind of fragile. The arms are attached at here, at this bracer and at the wrist, and if some rough handling or dropping, the glue will break because it's just super glue, and super glue is not the best thing for this. The device I was trying to paint sort of became messed up, but again, I thought, they're not display models. There's just a hint of some sort of device there. Nobody's going to look too closely. Yeah, so that's them, and you can see some other miniatures in the background. Now here we have a couple of snakes from Reaper Miniatures. Those cultists were heresy miniatures, by the way. One cobra and one other, just generally big snake. Now, this is based on an actual existing snake pattern. I forget what it's called. And it's the first time I've tried freehanding this sort of banded pattern. I kind of messed it up in a few places, like here where there's too much dark. But again, you know, people are just not going to look at the details. It's the overall effect that's important. This is more of a fantasy snake. I don't know of any cobras with this kind of blue coloration in nature, but I thought it looked dramatic and effective, so I decided to go with it. And these weird horns on the sides are also probably not natural, and snakes don't get this big anyway. Oh well. Anyway, I'm fairly pleased with how these turned out. So let's see what's still on the painting table. And here's the big pile of stuff in the works. You'll find this cavern worm. I've just done the rocks so far, and the dirt on the base. It's nothing on the monster itself. I haven't actually decided on a color scheme yet for this one. This is why this might take a while. This is really the only model I'm unsure whether I'll finish by next week, simply because I have decisions to make. With these two guys, I've started on them. You can see there's a very thin base coat of the darkest shade, and for the Yeti, basically all that's left is dry brushing up and then painting some details like mouth, horns, eyes, claws, and he'll be done. When a model is this heavily textured, when it's mostly fur, it's relatively simple. Now this guy will be slightly more difficult. I've started him blue, and I'm gonna highlight him up more subtly. I mean, if you look at the artwork here, well, the examples, they've actually gone to extremes here. I mean, this Yeti is all one color. I mean, it's simply monochromatic. Everything is the same color, same gray. The claws, horns, the mouth is just black. There's like no work done on this guy at all. Almost the base is the same color. However, on this guy, they've gone very subtle shading and highlighting. It's like these two models are painted by completely different people. Yeah, I'm going to be a bit more consistent. And here in the back row, you can sort of see the Santa, the elves, and the little pets. that are in the works. They've just been primed and had the dirt painted on their bases. Now, here you can see I've started to paint and assemble this in stages. It looks really messy at the moment, but bear with me. So what I did was I painted this portion here was separate. It's glued on now. I painted the wings and around here first, and then I painted the seats and a bit of the wood. Then I glued it together and I finished trying to unify sort of the wood color, a sort of reddish brown all around it, and just painted a tan color on this. This is the sack holding the presents. And I think I'm going to finish painting the presents. This is the next step. Then I'll paint the driver and attach her. After that, I will paint, see, this is the insides of the sides. Attach them, paint the outsides, and including the bottom. And after that, I will start working on the flying stand and the base. The base is going to be, unusually enough for me, the last thing I do on this kit. Yeah. So I'm not sure that's going to be finished by next week either, because there's such a lot of intermediary steps. I'm sort of anticipating finishing the Yeti and the Ice Troll and these guys. If I have the time. I do have a bunch of time, but there's other stuff I need to get done as well. Anyway, that is what's currently in progress. And I find myself with a pile of ongoing projects, so I think for next week I'm going to be conservative again, not add too much to the queue. Because we're coming up on Christmas holidays, which means the normal schedule will be broken up. I'm not going to be doing as much normal work. On the other hand, there's other stuff I have to attend to. So I'm not sure how much time there'll be for painting. But I'm going to add a few more minis. And once again, they're all going to be Christmas related. They're all from Reaper. We have and these are not special edition minis. These are minis you can buy at any time from their normal range. The Snow Goons, which are some, well, let me open it up. I've noticed that opening these packages makes a really lot of noise on camera, so this time I prepared them by opening a corner in advance, and I'm not going to talk while opening it so you can hear what I'm saying. These are some sort of evil snowmen, or, well, at least animated snowmen of various kinds, I think, that are all sort of amusing to look at. And then we have, that's 3 minis, and then we have 2 minis from Chronoscope range, 1 Santa Claus and 1 Krampus. Let's open that up. Oops. So this Santa is just a normal Santa. He looks like a modern day dude. He has none of these sort of medieval or fantasy characteristics that a lot of the other Santas I've painted have. And this is to be expected because the Chronoscope range is supposed to be modern day, at least 20th century minis, or well, at the furthest extreme 19th century. There's some steampunk minis and some sci-fi minis and some modern day normal minis in the Chronoscope range. These are kind of outliers. Now Krampus, now you know who Krampus is, I suppose. He's the sort of evil mirror image of Santa. There was a movie made about him recently, I think. Haven't seen it. And he's got some accoutrements of various kinds. This is just so flashing, but yeah, he looks wicked. So I will prep these for next week, and we'll see what happens. It's once again time to show you some new stuff that arrived in my mailbox. And this week I'm going to show you another Kickstarter from a company called Awaken Realms. And I backed a terrain set called the Ancient Fountains set, which you can see here. 16 resin models, there's a logo, here is the big piece. It says here scale 1:1. It confused me at first because I thought there's no room in this for a 1:1 scale human statue, but I realized that what they meant was the picture is 1:1. It's actually the scale of the miniature inside. Anyway, let's have a look at some of these. Well, I'll open it off camera. So first off, we have this bag of various ruined pieces, and here are some plastic bases and some more ruined walls. And let's see if we can. Oh well. Get stuff out of the way. And down here we see the big statues, and these are the sort of portals to another dimension, perhaps, that you can use. And is there something under even that? Well, there's some smaller bits, some smaller statues, I know, and even more smaller statues. Quite a lot of stuff. So this was, I backed this Kickstarter back when I was still painting terrain. Oh, and here's some sort of number plaques that you can add to some bits. I'm not currently in the sort of business of painting or using terrain very much, so this will have to go in storage for future use, but it is a very nice general set of stuff. And I thought I'd show you where these boxes, well, they're labeled red and the others are green and blue. These are some add-ons I got with crystal markers, or so they're in translucent plastic in different colors, and they also come with 3 of these things, which they're clear, but they also have an LED light in them, and I have activated it, and it's glowing red, and you'll see, ta-da! I'm not even sure if I should paint these crystals. Maybe give them a very light wash of red to get even a darker color into the cracks and to delineate them a little bit more, just with some red ink. I'm not quite sure why they provide bases for them, because I'm not gonna glue this down, because I don't want the light be on all the time. I want to be able to take this off and be able to turn it off and change the batteries. But what I could do though is I could not glue it on, but just place it lightly here, and then build up some stuff around here that I glue down and paint, so that it doesn't slide around on the base, and then I can just socket it into that. Yeah, that would be an option. Oops. turned it on accidentally. It's there's two. Let me show you. Right. So there's two of these kinds of batteries inside, and it's simply a matter of when it's loosely screwed on, there's no connection, so it doesn't light up. But if you screw it tightly enough, yeah, it closes the circuit and you get a light. Anyway, cool idea. As I said, I'm not sure when I'll get around to using it, but it's nice to have. So, that was this week's episode, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you click the like button and give me a comment about what you thought of it. And I'll see you next week. But until then, I'm Dakian, and I'm signing off.